Richard, you've had an incredible journey to mental wellness. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, my name is Richard Craig. I was born in Calgary, Alberta, September 17, 1981. I've lived and traveled to many places in Canada. I'm a father, a brother, and a son. And I also make my own music. My style is kind of blues, jazz. Yes. And I was diagnosed with bipolar in 2002. And then I was later diagnosed with schizophrenia in 2019.
Richard, what were some of the challenges that you faced during that period?
Some of the challenges I faced with bipolar when I was first diagnosed was the highs and lows. Basically, when you're manic, you have like an unlimited amount of energy, and you're like very motivated. And then the flip side to that is you have the really bad lows, which are kind of very depressing and create a kind of like despair in your life. Yeah.
What were some of the key turning points that changed the direction?
Well, for me, my key turning point was when I was diagnosed with schizophrenia. Unfortunately, sometimes with mental illness, it can change into another mental illness sometimes. So basically, for me, the turning point for me was when I couldn't play guitar anymore. And I talked to my doctor, and I said, "Look," I said, "I need help." And they sent me to a psychiatrist, and then I did an interview with her, and that's when I was diagnosed with schizophrenia. And the major turning point was going into hospital at Freeport Specialized Mental Health. I was able to get the care that I needed. I was able to get on the right medication, and they introduced the mental health program to me while I was there. Went through my life story kind of deal and made my peace with life. And I had a very good doctor. He walked me through the whole process, and I came out mentally well again.
I've heard you mention before that reality is a lot harder to take when you have mental illness. And I've heard you talk about isolation as well. Why don't you elaborate a little bit on that?
Back around 2009, I started experiencing psychosis. I started experiencing schizophrenia. I didn't know what was going on, but I was scared to go in the public. I was scared to ride transit. So I decided I ended up isolating for a long period of time.
Mm-hmm. You often have talked to me about the benefits of the coping mechanisms and the disciplines that you do daily. Why don't you chat a little bit about that?
Coping mechanisms are very important for mental health. There's a lot of coping mechanisms that you can apply to any situation that you're experiencing. For me personally, it was something I learned about CBT, which is called thought, emotion, action. So take, for example, you see somebody across the street and you say hi, and they don't reply back. And you think to yourself, oh, that person, blah, 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 is, just doesn't, like you think negatively, right? What the CBT kind of teaches you is to check the thought. So when you check the thought, and you think to yourself, well, maybe this person's busy, or you kind of switch it up in your head, what the outcome, what the reason was, why they didn't say hi, and then that changes the emotion, because the emotion leads into the action, right? So you think, you feel, you act. Right? And if you can change the thought, you can create a better emotion and a better action, right? It's just, it's what our brains do. It goes from thought, emotion, action. And when somebody doesn't say hi to you, you might feel hurt, and the action to that is anger, right? Mm-hmm. Right?
And you perform these disciplines daily.
I have to, right? Because you don't want to misinterpret somebody. Say somebody, like I said, doesn't text you for a couple of days. maybe they're busy, right? I mean, but instead of thinking like, oh, like negative about it, you try to create a better kind of thought towards it.
Volunteering for us here at Hope House plays such a crucial role. We couldn't function in our operation without volunteers like yourself, Richard. You've been volunteering at Hope House for over 3 years now. Well, why is that so important to you?
It's important to me because, like I said, having a mental illness in today's world with all this stuff going on, like around the world, these wars going on, and like the price of living's gone up. Like for people with mental illness, it affects us like a lot more. Right? We're more sensitive to the information that comes into our lives. And it affects our stability. Like it can trigger, bipolar. It can trigger schizophrenia, right? And you have, little episodes of that, right? But for me, for volunteering at the Hope House, it gives me a sense of hope, and it gives me a sense of purpose. And what I mean by hope is I'm surrounded with people that care about people and that are helping people and are doing good for the community, and that gives me hope. And that's why I come in, and that's why I volunteer here, right? Because it's great to be around all you guys, the staff here at the Hope House, like everybody, we all care about people, right? We want to see people, not hungry and getting what they need, And to me, that creates a sense of stability in my life, right? Like 100%, right? Like, cause with everything that's going on in the world, it can really get overwhelming. But when you're making a difference, even though it's like small scale, right? But like you're making a difference in somebody's life.
You do.
Yeah,
you do. We hear that often from a lot of the staff members, how much of a difference you make.
And like that kind of helps me balance out the diagnosis, right? Like it helps me stay balanced because I could say, okay, there's this stuff going on in the world, but I'm doing what I can here, and hopefully everybody else is doing what they can out there, right? And it kind of balances out, right?
You've mentioned to me before about being the importance of being a service to others, which seems amazing when you think about the journey that you've taken over the last 20 years with the struggles you've had, the challenges you've had with mental illness. So how important is that to be of service to others?
It's very important, John. Like I said, helping people it just I don't know, it just makes me feel good, right? Like I can actually influence some positivity, some goodness, right? And try to, give that, and hopefully like it creates ripples, right? Like you drop a rock in the water, it ripples, right? You help somebody out, it ripples. That person's going to help out this person. Like you can see it when people come in. You know that the people that come in, they do good out there too. So it's like you make, you know what I mean? Like you're creating a ripple effect with helping people.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. No, I do know what.
So the people that come in and get help, they also go out in society and help out in their pond too, right? So to speak, right? So.
You mentioned to me before that the greatest reward to mental health is your children. It allows you to have positive relationships with them and others.
Yeah, I'm very grateful that I went to Freeport and I went through the program, and I still work the program to this day, just through the ACT team of the Homewood. But my reward for all that work that I did, I have a better relationship with my friends and family, with people in my life. I'm more coherent with everyday life. I'm able to create relationships, I'm able to have relationships, and that's awesome. Like my kids, like they see me go through it, so they have firsthand experience with mental health. And we talk about that every time I see my kids, right? I say, hey, you know, like, what's going on with you guys, you know? And we'll rap, and, you know what I mean? And then we'll talk about mental health and stuff, you know? And I think by doing what I did, I created a more positive outlook for my kids.
You have a couple of good lines that you shared with me. One is finding your peace, and the other one's don't regret your karma. Well, what do you mean by that?
Well, by finding your peace, you know, we all kind of have our own story. We all kind of have our own journey, right? And you know, we experience life. Now, in the past, you know, like I've made mistakes in my life, but going through the program, I was able to make my peace with those mistakes. And what I mean by don't regret your karma is, you know, there's a reason for everything you go through, and you have the choice to either make the best of it or make the worst of it. That's your choice in life, right? We all have to experience life, right? Every emotion of life we all have to experience. Why? I don't know, right? Only God knows why, right? You know what I mean? But like, that's what we do as humans. We experience these emotions. And you have a choice, you know, how you want to live your life. You know, if you want to do better or you want to do worse, you know, but we all go through the test of life, right? But we have a choice. The choice is to do better or not, you know. And I believe when I went to Freeport, that was my crossroads.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Richard. We really appreciate your sharing and that. Appreciate that.